All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to WeSERVE Community Development Corporation as we endeavor to provide information on our nonprofit development seminar series. We are glad that you have taken us up on our offer to find out information on how you can start a nonprofit in your local area. It's not difficult, it is not hard, it is not a tedious process, and we have an expert, if I can call her, online that is going to help you and give you information over the next 30 minutes on how you can start a nonprofit at your church, in your community center, in your local area, that you can be a value added asset to your community. In the Church of God in Christ, we call it urban initiatives. But whatever it is in your area, whether it's a religious organization or just a community-based organization, this information will be an asset to you and a benefit to you to help you start you along your way. I would like to turn this over now to the hands of our facilitator on this evening, Mrs. Deanne Graham will take it over from here. Mrs. Graham, we're in your hands.
Thank you, Ms. McCown. I appreciate your time tonight. I want to welcome everyone to our nonprofit development program webinar. We want to respect the 30-minute time that was stated. So we are asking that you write down any questions that come to mind as we share with you this wonderful opportunity. Now, when we get to the end, you will have a chance to ask questions. And for this time, we have muted all the lines so that way I can make this presentation seamless. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I want to reintroduce myself. I am Deanne Graham, and I'm currently serving on the board of directors for WeServe Community Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit organization. Now, as your program director, you can assure that my focus is on social innovation, nonprofit management, and community building. Now, I have served in the philanthropic and advocacy field by trade since 2009. And in that role was afforded the opportunity to work with large organizations like Habitat for Humanity, Wounded Warrior, and Feed America. Now, the impact of these organizations in the world is great. And viewing from a different lens, it exposed the gaps of services needed in marginal communities. So this personally increased my desire to get knee deep in the nonprofit sector and devise ways of getting more resources to the inner city. Now, having been groomed by world-class master trainer Kim Anthony of Urban Excellence Institute, along with our years of business acumen, my team and I are more than equipped to encourage and support each of you with the development of your nonprofit and get you to the finish line successfully. So let's get started. Now, what is NPDP, purpose? Now, this nonprofit development program was created to walk through each step needed to establish your nonprofit organization and put you on a path to receiving grants and financial partnerships as your organization champions its mission in the communities it serves. Now, the reality is we need more nonprofit organizations. We need people that will push the social movement in the community as we make the world a better place. So rather you are the first in the field that you're deciding to pursue or the 30th, there is room for you. There are a lot of businesses out there that assist with relationship building. And what our team realizes that there is a lack of organization foundation. So that is what this program will focus on, true business establishment. Now, NPDP is an 8-session action plan that includes one-on-one coaching as you work to build on your purpose, literally from the ground up, and ensure that your organization is off to a successful start with lasting results. Now, this program is designed to support new and emerging nonprofit organizations as they put into place the infrastructure needed for sustainable growth and measurable impact. Now, let's cover the benefits of nonprofit organizations. Here you can see that we have just 6 of many benefits, but did you know that you can write off up to 50% of your adjusted gross income if you donate it to charities? Now, that includes your own charity. This is how the rich get richer. They know how to use the advantage, and the top 2% for decades understood how to maximize this benefit. They buy and sell homes in their nonprofits' names. They endorse actual businesses through their nonprofit. They have huge estates, and they use their nonprofit as a safety net that will continue for years after they're gone. Now, this is how you maximize your 501c3 to put you on a path to creating a legacy and generational wealth. And it could be started all through your nonprofit organization. It is time we use our passion to not only implement change in our communities, but also take full advantage of this benefit to create and building your legacy. So I've talked about myself. I shared the purpose of the program and the benefits of the nonprofit organization. Now, some of you may be questioning your ability to have a nonprofit, or you may not believe that you can actually do it. So I wanted to share this with you because many of us oftentimes operate in the imposter syndrome. And this is one of the reasons why many of us have yet to achieve our goals. So it is because we don't believe that we deserve them. So, the imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which you doubt your skills, talents, or accomplishments despite the external evidence of your competence. So, those with imposterism have an internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. They also incorrectly, might I add, attribute their success to luck and are afraid that others are thinking that they're more intelligent than what they believe themselves to be. So I want each of you to know that you absolutely can do it. This program will focus on our gifts and skill sets because there's a reason why we have them. We also will empower one another to increase belief in yourselves so those needing your gifts can get the best of what you have to offer. There is somebody out there waiting on your yes. There is a group of people waiting for you to begin your journey that includes your passion and purpose. So your commitment to giving back the best of you through your gifts can not only change lives, but it will change lives. So believe in yourself. Now, these are all nonprofit organization ideas. These are organizations currently operating right now in each of these fields. The NPDP was created to help people discover that their hobby or skill that they possess can influence and make a lasting impression in today's society. Now, there are gaps in neighboring communities waiting to be filled by your gifts and talents. Now, you can obtain financial backing to help support your passion, recycle that money back into your organization, and then you can make an even larger impact. Not to mention, hire yourself, create jobs for like minded individuals that will help push your purpose. So, again, ask yourself, what are you currently doing that you believe can make a difference in your community? You can be a barber that give away free haircuts to inner city youth on 4th Saturdays. Or possibly you have a social media account that you post skits and memes to brighten people's day and make them forget about their hectic day. Or maybe you begin creating masks to donate them to hospitals, nursing homes, and homeless shelters. Some of you may already have the idea in your head, and some of you are still thinking about the idea. And either way, it's okay. Think about your gifts and your talents. What do you do right now that is effortless, that it's a passion of yours and one that you enjoy? Now think about how can your community benefit from that passion. Now there are top 3 reasons for creating a nonprofit. The first is you see a need. And when I say gaps, I'm speaking of the needs that are currently not being met. You see a geographical population that's not being served. So maybe your heart is for the homeless, and the closest shelter is 10 miles away from the popular homeless encampment. Or you have a unique method or service to reach people. So this is for those of you who are innovators at heart and you're the trailblazers. Okay, so that's what we think about when we're talking about nonprofit ideas. Now, maybe you should reconsider if you're solely in it for the money. Okay, that's not what the nonprofit is for. Keep in mind that nonprofit organizations are created to meet the need of the community, a group, or an area that is underserved. Every nonprofit organization has a mission and a vision to do something greater than what's already been done. So your starting salary may take time, because you're building. And oftentimes the work and the passion comes before the money. So if you don't have a heart of service, and are not community driven, having a nonprofit may not be the best option for you. Possibly you can consider a for-profit business as an LLC, a C or S corp, or a sole proprietorship. Okay. Now let's talk about the things that you will acquire through the program. Now that we've gotten everything else out of the way, there are many advantages that you'll walk away with. The first is your articles of incorporation, your bylaws, your state, whatever state that your business will be operating in, that name acknowledgement in your state. And for some states, it's called certificate of formation. You'll have your EIN number, your IRS 1023 application. Now, this is an important one because this one gives you your 501c3 tax exempt status. And then we'll also cover budget cash flow. So that will be your high and low budget, as well as the strategic planning worksheet. Oh, excuse me, let me go back because that was too quick. I want to highlight that the strategic planning worksheet will be one of the most important benefits that you'll receive. Did you know that about 49 out of 100 nonprofit organizations are operating without a strategic plan? And then that oftentimes leaves them stagnant. So this tool is essential because it's needed for you to have a roadmap, and yours will be completed by the end of the program. And also, our team handles all state and federal paperwork, leaving your time and effort to be used solely on the building of your organization. Now, these are the topics that we will discuss during the program. We will cover these thoroughly. Just to highlight a few, we will create and define the vision and a mission. Now, people often confuse the two because the vision gives a big picture of how the world will be because of your efforts. However, the mission is about what you will do specifically to get there. We'll also cover the SWOT analysis, which allows you to identify your internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as your external opportunities and threats. Now, the STEP analysis covers the sociocultural, economic, and political influences, and they can not only help you in the planning services for your constituents, but also help with potential funders. Now, this program concludes with presenting a launch event to attract your first donors and supporters. Then, of course, we will have bi-weekly one-to-one individual coaching sessions that will focus on achieving specific desired outcomes, goals, and objectives. Now, let's talk about the program timeline. Now, this is a live workshop, and there will be necessary assignments to be completed in this hands-on program. We will meet bi-weekly over the next 90 days. Now, the IRS application takes about 90 days due to processing post-COVID with the limited staff. So they are really at max capacity with that, but that's perfect because it gives us time to work together and complete all the steps necessary to build a solid foundation and an ethical, progressive organization for you. The goal is to ensure that your nonprofit is established by the end of our time together, not just a name, but a organization that is truly solidified. Now, the big question is, how much does it cost to get started? Now, we understand people shop around and look for the best price, and that's understandable. But let me assure you that for the services rendered, you're going to get a competitive price of the $17.50. And as a bonus for our pilot program participants, which means you, we're including the state and federal fees. So this, depending on your state, can be up to an $800 value. Now, let me be clear about we cannot guarantee your spot until your deposit is made. However, we do not want money to be a barrier. So we have created 3 down payment options for your convenience. Now, payment schedules will be provided once you choose an option at enrollment. We are only taking a limited number of students during our opening pilot program, so you definitely want to take advantage of this discount offer. Now, one of the reasons we started this program is because there's a lot of resources out there that there are not a lot of resources out there, that will hold your hand through the process of establishing your organization. And at the rate of legal help, which is obviously costly, we can and will get this done without the need to exert excessive amounts of money for you to make an impact in the world and create your legacy. Now, our experience and expertise comes from doing it ourselves and having a seat at the table with successful businesses and organizations. So this concludes our presentation. There's so much financial assistance out there that can aid in the building of your organization. I'm glad that we are able to offer a platform where you can build and soar. I want to add that joining this pilot program, you will be able to be a part of a community that is groundbreaking. They're surrounded by like-minded individuals, and they will also share resources and experiences. Now, some of your organizations may complement one another, which opens up the door for potential partnerships. We will have our own directory between the group that is going to grow, and we'll be able to support and lean on one another as we grow through the process. Now, I will turn you back into the hands of Mr. McCowan, and he will assist you with questions should you have any.
All right, good evening, everyone, and I hope that you were able to obtain or gather enough information to make a decision on moving forward with your nonprofit. I want you all to understand that it's not a rush. Mrs. Graham stated that the process is around 90 days. Well, prior to COVID, just to give you some information, our nonprofit, WeSERVE, she was able to begin that process, I believe it was the first week in November. And by the end of November, we had our actual designation that we were able to search the 501c3 IRS tax non-exempt website to be able to see our name pop up in that system. So though it may be a little delayed now because of the effects of COVID, it won't take long for her to be able to get your information and your nonprofit up and running. And so if you have any questions, I need you all to do this. Click on the reactions button. And the reactions will allow you to raise your hand. And I will call you as I see you raise your hand. Or if you don't want to verbally talk, you can post your question in the chat window, and we can pose your question to Mrs. Graham, and she can answer any questions that you all might have. All right, we're going to call on, and I'm going to allow you to be able to unmute yourselves. Nicole Jones, go ahead and ask your question. Nicole Jones.
Okay, I'm here. I posted it in the chat as well. I just wanted to know, I was listening to the presentation, does your nonprofit organization have to be a separate organization, or can it be like an initiative that stems from a for-profit? Am I clear? Does it have to be completely separate? Do you have to form a completely separate organization?
For-profit and nonprofit are two separate organizations. You can have a for-profit and transition to a nonprofit, but there is quite a bit of red tape and paperwork for that process. But we can discuss further offline to speak on your particular business.
All right, you good with that? Yes, it appears you're good. Any other questions, Ms. Jones?
No. I was just asking that question because I know it was mentioned. Oh, if you have a barber shop or something, and you wanted to offer this, then you could. So I wasn't sure if you could mix the two, but that satisfied my question.
Thank you so much. Talise Middleton, go ahead on and unmute yourself, and we'll take your question.
Oh, thank you very much. I do not have a question. I just want to say to my sister, Deanne, this is incredible work. I'm proud of you. And I think that just expanding the brand and letting people know the options that are out there for them, and this whole community, pulling people together and, helping them achieve their goals and their dreams in this nonprofit sector is impeccable. And I salute you and your team and providing this quality information and getting in the trenches and making sure other people thrive and grow in these unprecedented times. So I'm proud of you and I love you. That's all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your feedback. I value that. Thank you so much.
Arsenio Clark, ma'am, you can go ahead on and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. You mentioned that the process takes approximately 90 days. However, when does this program start? And can you give us your contact number offline so that should I decide to move forward with your services, I have a way in which to reach you?
Sure. So the program begins on February the 13th. It will be on the second and fourth Saturdays for about 2 hours. I will be there after hours if people have additional questions. And the enrollment begins today and it will end the day before the program start. So although, yes, it can be done prior to 90 days as Mr. McCowan advised. However, as I mentioned with COVID-19, it's taken about that time, which gives us plenty of time to solidify your organization. So from February the 13th to May the 15th.
And where are you?
It will be via Zoom. I'm located in the state of Texas and we serve,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Any further
Thank you.
questions? No problem, great, glad I can help.
Are there any other questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't answer the question as to how do we reach you outside of this particular call?
She will post up her contact information at the end.
Okay,
Mrs. Graham, go ahead and put that up now so that they can see.
Absolutely.
Philip Nubia, go ahead, sir.
Hey, how you doing? I had a quick question. Now, when and this is it's two things I would like to say. First, I would like to say this is my second time joining in one of your sessions before, and I concur with the other lady. You are just awesome. Really
appreciate that.
Great information, and I would say that the church that I pastor benefited from the first class or the first session that you had, and so I trust you. So with that being said, with that being
said, church benefited. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that.
Oh no, it did, yes. And with the question I had is, once you solidify your first your first nonprofit organization or part that you have, do you have an option? Is there an option for you to get let's say to build another one or to make another one out of that initial let's say EIN or nonprofit number that you get? So let's say
go ahead.
Yeah, so let's just say I started I want to do okay, so I have I want to do English as a second language in my area, right, through a nonprofit, but I also want to do computer literacy down the line. Can I still use that initial sign up that I had with that first nonprofit to do the second?
So Graham, if I can jump in and give a real life example.
Okay.
That's actually what we're doing, Mr. Nubia. That's exactly what we're doing at WeServe. We have a computer lab at WeServe that houses 7 computers. We fall under the umbrella nonprofit of WeServe. We also have our food pantry that we do work with our food pantry and give out food pantry. So those two totally different things.
Right.
All are covered under the umbrella of that nonprofit. But as she said, we have a strategic plan that has paths for each of those processes. So they don't overlap, they don't conflict. They have their own different paths that are covered under that nonprofit.
Nice.
Thank you, Mr. McCowan. I want to add to that too. That is correct. So you can have different, I don't want to say genres, but you can, be open in a sense with your gifts or what you're rendering back to the community, but you also can have more than one nonprofit. And there's a benefit to that too, because if you are doing 2 totally different genres per se, like to say one is about health, then you would be able to go for grants and get funders solely for that. That will only give to people who are in that field of offering health services or information, or if you're doing fairs, health fairs and things of that nature. And then with your ESL program, there's funders and grant opportunities out there solely that will give to you for that specific reason. So you can have more than one, and you can do 2 in 1.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure,
And
thank you.
Just so you know, she mentioned one thing. There are grants out there. There's money out there that people give away, that they give away to people who only are nonprofit. For those that may be in ministries, you're at churches, a lot of entities will not give money to churches, but they will give money to nonprofits that are attached to a church, just because it's not a church. And so it's important for you all, for if you have that desire to start a nonprofit with your entity. We have 2 more questions. It looks like we now have 3 more questions, Mrs. Graham. We're gonna go to Melissa Chavez. You can unmute yourself, ma'am.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Danny. Sorry, my nickname for you. But okay, so you just went over the fact that if you do start an LLC and you have your path, you make your path at the beginning. So it wasn't quite clear to me. So let's say I start it, I make my LLC, and then I decide that I want it to have another pathway. Can I add that later, or do I have to like think of all the paths before I start?
So I want to be clear that we're speaking of launching a nonprofit organization, okay? And that's totally different from a for-profit, which would be a business. It could be a LLC, a sole proprietorship, an S or a C Corp. So are you saying that you currently have an LLC and you're seeking to transition to nonprofit? That's kind of the question that Dr. Jones had in the beginning.
Right. No, what I was thinking, because to start a nonprofit, to like, it would just be brand new. But so let's say like right now, I wanted to go and help the elderly do crafts. Okay. But then later, maybe I want to also venture into taking meals to elderly. Would I have to have already put that in my first path, like on my first LLC, or can I add that later if I decided that was another path to go?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure we're clear about the terms, because they're a nonprofit is definitely different from an LLC. But yeah, kind of sort of what the gentleman before just mentioned. You can start off, as you mentioned, giving to the elderly with, knitted mittens, and then you want to discuss, doing food on Meals on Wheels. We will kind of go through that with the program, but when we submit, it just depends on what everyone's different, but we can do a generalization that will allow you to do 2 in 1. So, but when we connect, we will do a one-on-one and discuss your specific needs and determine which route we will go for your goal.
Okay, so you would kind of do more of a general type of kind of a catch-all phrase at the beginning, and then
very good.
Okay, and
absolutely.
503C, is that what it is?
501c3 nonprofit organization.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
You are doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Are there any more questions, Mr. McCowan?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm talking, but I'm muted. Tamia Morrow, you have a question?
Okay. Hi, Tamia.
Hi, how are you? I just wanted to also echo the sentiments of the individuals before me. This was a phenomenal presentation. I did catch the tail end, so you may have already answered this. But for those people who already have an organization, but are looking to build a community and have access to additional resources to grow that organization, is there an option for that without having to incur the cost of starting from the beginning?
So with nonprofit organizations, you can have a membership. It sounds like that's something that, from what you just mentioned, and you can build that membership from your initial launch of your nonprofit organization. That kind of goes with the application. Again, it will determine specifically your goals for your organization and see if that's something that you would like to have in regards to, the further growth of your organization. I hope that answers your question.
let me just double back. So as part of this growing community, this collaborative that you guys are building, would someone who already has a nonprofit be able to take part in this? Or is there a separate community where we could still come together with like-minded organizations to continue to advance the work that we're doing?
Got it. Okay, great. Thanks for rephrasing. So this community right now is the building of a nonprofit. Now we are talking about launching a nonprofit development program number 2 for organizations that are already established, and to, again, as we talked about, connecting with other organizations and partnering with them depending on their needs. And maybe you have, your organization offers something that another organization have, and together you can work, you know, together and connect. So we currently, right now, we don't have that bill, but that is forthcoming. Thanks for mentioning. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have, it looks like we have 2 more questions now.
Okay.
Someone who is named Urban Excellence Institute.
Okay.
Go ahead and speak.
I'm sorry, it's Kimberly. Hi, this is Kimberly and this was absolutely, you took such a complex topic and boiled it down so succinctly so that it's very understandable. And it started another nonprofit myself, so just excellent, and kudos to you. But I do want to add a tiny bit of a correction that will make everybody on this call want to hurry up and sign up with DM. It's that I think you said 50, 60, 50% of your income actually is because of the CARES Act. 100% of your income can be donated to a nonprofit. 100%. It's a tiny line in there. So we don't know how long that's going to last. So if you do not have a nonprofit, you want to hurry up and get signed up, because there are people who are going to be looking for tax write-offs, and it's up to 100% of their income. Congratulations, this was awesome.
Thank you. I just want to add that I talked about in my introduction that I have been trained by the world-class master trainer, Kim Anthony of Urban Excellence Institute, and that is Miss Kim Anthony Morrow of Urban Excellence Institute. So thank you for chiming in. She is my sensei, and I go to her for all of the extras concerning nonprofit. So again, as you can see, now I've seen 50%, and there obviously has been an update even since then with all the COVID-19. There's been a lot of changes. So just know that whatever I'm providing, I'm always going to have a fallback and reconfirm with my master trainer, Kim Anthony. So you guys have additional resources available to you through this program. Thank you, Kim, for that feedback.
All right, Mrs. Brown, we have one more question and we are past our allotment. So we're going to turn this over to one last question. Pastor Tommy Morrow. Sir, you can go ahead on and talk.
Pastor Tommy, thank you.
Unmute. Thank you. Deanne, let me just first say thank you for your vision to create this community. Your eloquence and excellence in presenting the information was just phenomenal. I wanted to just make a couple of comments that I think could be helpful to those persons that do not have 501c3 organizations. If you really look at most successful businesses, they all have a charity component. They all have a foundation or 501c3 attached to the business. And you wonder why? Because you can write off the profit, give it to your organization, and you're able to continue to earn and stack money away. Every politician has a nonprofit organization that they use the money from their time in office. When they get out of office, having a nonprofit organization has really been a tremendous blessing personally. We are directing 5 different nonprofit organizations, and people ask why. have so many because they each have a different focus, and you don't have to worry about getting the money convoluted when you have its own entity. And so we would encourage every person who doesn't have a 501c3 organization to get one. If not, you're leaving money on the table. And one last point I wanted to make, there is a local church here in California that received a church organization that received over $25 million from organizations that only give to churches. And we have the list of those organizations. So any churches or pastors out there that would like to get involved with the organizations that only give to churches, see Mrs. Graham, and I'll be happy to connect with you.
Thank you. Yes, that is Pastor Tommy Morrow, the husband of Kim Anthony Morrow that I just mentioned, and they are serial entrepreneurs and have multiple nonprofit organizations. Again, as I mentioned, you guys are connected by doing this program with people in high places and people that are well versed in this sector. So thank you for that, Pastor Tommy Morrow. Appreciate that feedback.
One more chat question, Mrs. Graham. Brandy Powell asked this question: which one should come first, business or nonprofit?
Hi, Brandy. It's a great question. You know, I would like to know specifically what it is that you're doing. As Pastor Tommy Morrow just mentioned, every organization, every large for business organization has a nonprofit that they also is a connection of their organization. So you definitely can have both. Your nonprofit, it really could be either or. It just really kind of depends on specifically what it is that you're looking to do and what your goal is first, how, and again, and we could talk about that offline, but you know what comes before it, does the chicken or the egg come before, which one? That's kind of the way it is. So we can definitely talk offline about that, but you can definitely have both, just to be clear. Is that all for the questions, Mr. McCowan?
Yes, ma'am. That's all the
Great.
questions that we see and all the hands that are raised. If you will look in your chat window, it looks like we just had another hand possibly raised. I don't see
Okay.
it. But if you look in the chat window, you will be able to, you'll see a link to a survey. Please, we would love for you to fill out the survey to give your feedback on this workshop as we look to endeavor to do this more often. You may not have a desire to start right now, or your schedule may not be right now, but if you can fill out and complete this survey, it would help us to refine this program, this development program, so that we can make it more efficient and more beneficial for those that might come. It looks like the hand that was raised is now gone. If there are no more questions, you'll see the link. It's a Google Forms document that we would love for you to fill out. And then also, I'm placing in the chat window, if you have a desire to enroll in the program, to be able to be a part of the pilot team that is starting on the 13th of February, there's a link there. You would just go back to WeServeVA.org and you would click on the same image, the same link that you click on to register for this conference, for this seminar. However, information in there has changed, and it allows you to register or enroll for the program. So if you have a desire to start your program and get your 501c3 going, go back to WeServeVA.org, click on that nonprofit development program, complete the enrollment form, and it will send you information on how to get started. If there are no more questions, we would like to thank you all for joining us. Mrs. Graham, do you have anything else to add before we dismiss?
Yes, I just want to thank you guys for joining us tonight with the nonprofit development program. I want to highlight the part, as you just mentioned, about enrollment. With the pilot program, meaning with you jumping on this first round, all of your state and federal filing costs are included. That is the bonus, or the discount per se, that all attendees that join the program for the first pilot session will get included in their, well, I say taken off. So I don't, for those of you who came towards the end, I talked about that up to $800 credit essentially for the fees and things that are required with starting your organization. That is included in the pilot program. Okay, so just something else to keep in mind. Enrollment, as he said, is on our website, WeServeVA.org. And I also have my email as well as our general email for the organization. And it's been a pleasure presenting to you tonight. And I look forward to changing the world together with each of you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you all. If you have any questions, feel free to send an email to any of these emails that's on this Keep in Touch page. You can find out more information about WeServe by going to WeServeVA.org. Have a wonderful night. We pray that you are encouraged by this seminar on this evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.